Welcome to the frequency of unapologetic evolution. This space, this podcast is really about evolving out loud. It's about refusing to stay small, refusing to stay trapped in someone else's version of us. We all carry versions of our past selves already. Some shifts happen quietly and almost without us noticing. Like when we grow from a baby to a toddler, from dependent on our parents to absolute little adventurers. But we keep evolving from there. Other versions arrive suddenly in the middle of life-altering events that change everything in an instant, or they happen quietly within ourselves. And then there are the selves that overlap, the ones that linger or entwine until one day we finally embrace and step into who we're becoming. That's what this space is about. The parts of us we've outgrown, the identities we're still untangling, and the selves we're daring to step into next. This is just another Manic episode. I'm Manic, and this is where I evolve out loud, unpolished, unapologetic, and unbothered. Every episode, we embrace the infinite paradox, the messy, cosmic, beautiful journey of becoming. So here's the thing. We all have past versions of ourselves, versions we've outgrown, versions that carry beliefs we don't align with anymore, versions that sometimes we cringe at, and versions that, if we're being honest, we sometimes miss. While we talk about the versions of us we've left behind, let's also know how to honor them, love them, and also release the versions that no longer belong to who we're becoming. We are constantly shape-shifting, constantly rewriting ourselves. Think about all the versions you've carried inside you. The bold one, who swore they could take on the world with nothing but fire in their chest. The insecure one, who stayed quiet, swallowing words just to keep the peace. The curious one, wide-eyed, hungry for answers, touching every corner of life just to see what it felt like. The reckless one, fueled by impulse and daring consequences to catch up. The exhausted one, barely making it through the day, running on fumes, but still standing. The hardened one, who built walls so high that no one could climb them. The soft one, who still dreamed in secret despite it all. Every version of you has survived something. Every version of you has left fingerprints on the life you're living right now. And whichever version of yourself this finds you in, I hope you pause long enough to embrace it, because this too is a sacred part of your journey. Sometimes when we look back at them, we cringe. We think, why did I act like that? Why did I believe that? Why did I say that? Why did I put up with that? But here's the thing. If you can look back and cringe, that's proof that you've grown. It means you're not the same person anymore. And I don't think that the old versions deserve shame. They deserve a lot of gratitude. They carried you through what they knew. They made the best choices they could with the awareness that they had at the time. They are part of the bridge that got you here. So instead of rejecting those versions of yourself, honor them. Love them for carrying you as far as they did. Thank them for surviving what they did. Cherish the echoes of your past selves, but let today's voice be louder. Growth has nothing to do with age. Absolutely nothing. Some people are going to live the same cycle 40 times. They loop through it over and over and over. So attached to their trauma, they can't even see the version of themselves that's waiting to be born. And then there are people who reinvent themselves 10 times before they're 25. People who shed skins like seasons. People who are willing to say, this doesn't fit me anymore. I've outgrown it. Let's move on. Growth is the courage to end one chapter and write the next. That's the secret sauce. Choosing to evolve when it's uncomfortable. Even when you're asked to leave behind people, places, or beliefs that once defined you. So if you're listening right now and you've been evolving faster than the people around you, don't let anyone make you feel wrong about it. It's really not about age. It's about cycles. It's about how many times you're willing to shed and be reborn in this lifetime. For me personally, I struggled with letting go of this latest version of myself. I kept finding remnants of her, sticking to my thoughts, showing up in my creative process, and I had to sit with myself and get brutally honest about why she no longer served me. She had protected me from so much, and I was scared to release her because I knew stepping forward without her meant being more vulnerable. It's not a rushed process, it's definitely a messy one. Letting go of old parts of ourselves hurts. Breaking cycles we were trapped in for so long feels brutal. And there's never a guarantee that the next version of us will look the way we imagined. So move with grace, take your time, and allow yourself to actually enjoy the messy process of becoming. But that's the beauty of it. Becoming isn't supposed to be neat or predictable. But let's be honest, just because you've outgrown the old version doesn't mean you can't slip back into it. It happens. The slip back temptation is a real phenomenon, and no one is immune to it. Sometimes all it takes is a familiar face, a place you once belonged to, or an old resurfacing habit. And suddenly you feel the pull of the familiar luring you back in. It's so easy to step back into an old belief, an old relationship, an old pattern because those things feel familiar. They're comfortable in a way. But that comfort is often a trap. It's like slipping into clothes you've outgrown. You can still wear them, you might look good in them, but they might be tight, restrictive, or just outdated. And listen, slipping back doesn't make you a failure. It's not proof that you haven't grown, it's just a reminder. A reminder from your soul, like, hey, you don't live here anymore. The key is awareness, catching yourself when you're slipping and asking, is this the me I'm becoming, or is this the me I've already outgrown? That question alone can pull you right back into alignment. Our brains are wired for efficiency. There's a part of our brain linked to habit formation that loves routine because it saves us mental energy. That's why old habits, even unhealthy ones, can feel like default settings. Sometimes I feel myself slipping back into the girl who thought she needed outside validation, the one who blamed everyone else for how I felt, the insecure version of me who lashed out. I still feel her rise up inside me. She held me together for so long when I thought the world was going to break me that she became my armor. But now, she's not my identity. Because from her, I've blossomed into someone stronger, someone who can withstand the hits, who can walk through the fire without spiraling back into the girl I used to be. Slip back temptations aren't failures, they're invitations. Don't beat yourself up if you can't break a habit overnight or if you catch yourself in a cycle you thought you'd already escaped. That doesn't mean you're moving backwards. It means that there's still wisdom hidden in the experience. Maybe the real growth in this moment isn't about slipping again. Maybe it's about showing up differently this time, choosing to handle the familiar in a brand new way. Now, this is a hard one. Even when you know you've outgrown an old version of yourself, other people might not, especially the ones who are no longer in your life. To them, you'll always be frozen in time, stuck as the version that they last knew. Maybe to them, you'll always be that high school version, the broken version, reckless version, insecure version, because that's where their story with you ended, and they never got the privilege of witnessing what came after. But here's the thing, that doesn't mean you're still that person. Their memory of you isn't your reality anymore. Just because they can't unsee who you used to be doesn't mean you're obligated to shrink back into that old identity. Growth is often invisible to the people who don't walk beside you through it. And that's okay. Your evolution isn't meant to be validated by people who only knew fragments of you. You are allowed to outgrow their story. You are allowed to become unrecognizable to the past. And you are allowed to live fully in the version of yourself you fought to become. And it can sting. You want them to see you now. You want them to acknowledge the growth, the healing, the becoming. But the truth is, that's not their job. It's your job to own your own evolution, even if they never do. Sometimes people cling to outdated versions of you because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. It's easier for them to keep you in a box than to admit that they've stayed the same. And that's okay, let them. You don't need their permission to evolve. Your story is to keep becoming, to honor your growth even when nobody else acknowledges it, to keep moving forward even when some people refuse to see past who you were. There's also something called the impression persistence. Once people form an opinion of you or an ideal of you, their brain resists changing it, even when faced with new evidence. So I suppose the empowering part is the more consistently you show up as your new self, the harder it is for people to ignore. Honestly, I feel a lot of shame for some of the versions of myself. I look back and shake my head knowing that even though she was doing her best at the time, I no longer relate to how she treated people. And it stings to know that there are people who will only ever know that version of me. I can't excuse my actions. I won't excuse my actions. I can't blame others for holding on to their versions of me. I haven't always been my best self. One of my biggest growth points has been learning to evolve while accepting that people will always carry an outdated version of me. And that's okay. It doesn't diminish who you are now or who you are becoming. Now, here's something wild to think about. There are versions of yourself you've never actually experienced. Versions that only exist in other people's minds. It's kind of trippy when you sit with it. There are people you don't even know who have created full, detailed versions of who they think you are. They string together fragments of your existence, then validate their story with little proofs they go searching for. Tiny details that they exaggerate or misinterpret just to make their version of you feel real. Science even backs this up. Our brains are wired to complete patterns and fill in missing information. Psychologists call it the closure principle. We naturally close the gaps in what we don't know. This happens all the time on social media. People catch glimpses of you, one post, one story, one caption, and their subconscious fills in the blanks. Suddenly, they feel like they know you even though they're only reacting to small fragments of you. And here's the truth, those versions aren't you. They're projections, half-made illusions built from assumptions, biases, and whatever people need you to be in their narrative. And this is where the differences lie. The versions of yourself you've actually lived, bold, insecure, reckless, hopeful, exhausted, those are real. They've carried you, shaped you, scarred you, built you into who you are now. They deserve compassion. The imagined versions that live in other people's minds, they don't deserve that same weight. They don't carry your truth, only someone else's perspective. And my golden rule has always been this: do I actually know them? Because if I don't know them, then they don't know enough about me for their opinion to matter. So embrace the versions you've lived. Honor them, love them, thank them. But release the versions other people make up about you. Because those are projections, and those are someone else's problem. So where does that leave us? With compassion. Because the goal isn't to hate old versions of ourselves. The goal is to love them, and more importantly, know when to let them go. To thank them for carrying you as far as they could, and then gently release them so you can move forward. Because the truth is, you're not supposed to stay the same. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to outgrow yourself again and again and again. Every version of you is sacred, but not every version of you is meant to stay. So go forth, embrace yourself. I won't pretend no one's watching, because they are. But remember this, you are worth being seen, exactly as you are in the chapter that you're in. If you want to keep exploring this messy, beautiful healing with me, hit subscribe. And until next time, stay strange. This is just another manic episode tuned to the frequency of evolution, alignment, and embrace. I need a nap.